Yo, what up, though? So, masculinity is under attack. And to that, I say houseway. Now, the first time I heard this was back in 2016 when Hillary Clinton was running for president. I kept hearing whispers that masculinity is being under attack. Then I heard a little bit louder when Vice President Kamala Harris was running for president. Masculinity is being under attack. They're trying to take out the men. Masculinity is being under attack. And then I heard it verbatim when I saw actor Anthony Mackie on the Pivot podcast. And he said, quote, American masculinity is being under attack. Now, unquote. Now, I want to read some stats to you. This right here comes from Statista.com. Out of the House of Representatives, only 28.7% are women, U.S. House of Reps. In the Senate, only 26% are women. Now, this right here comes from YahooFinance.com. 10% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. That is 52 out of 500 men are women. And out of that 52, only 2 are black women. Now, I have a friend who I read that stat to the same way I read to you. And that friend said to me when we was going back and forth, he said, quote, they attack us with words like toxic masculinity. There is no toxic masculinity, unquote. And I said to that friend in real time that if I have some French fries right here in front of me and I'm about to get it in, and you come take your bucket of mud and you dump it on top of my fries, those are no longer French fries, my friend. Those are mud fries, and this is not what I wanted. Meaning humans are always weaponizing something. Humans will always use any and everything to abuse someone else. It's been proven that historically. And men have always used their money and their power historically to block women. Hence why when we see women achieve something on the level of men, we're celebrating. And it's not because women are incompetent. It's because we understand what they had to go through in order for them to get to that level to be celebrated on that same platform as a man has once stood. Right? All right. Now let's read the definition of what masculinity is. According to Google/Webster, masculinity, quote, are qualities or attributes that regard as characteristics of men and boys. I'm going to read that again. Masculinity is qualities or attributes that regard as characteristics of men and boys, unquote. Now, I come from the school of thought of understanding that definition is a part of a social construct. Social construct are things that humans have always collectively or historically, you would say, have created things or discovered things and applied definitions to them, right? But you know what else humans also do? They come back and they challenge those things. They evolve. Now, if you're someone of a growth mindset, you understand the difference between a challenge versus an attack. A challenge is for growth, and growth should be good for you to evolve. How you got introduced to something doesn't necessarily mean it's going to remain that definition, because your experience may teach you something broader. Most things that we've been taught a lot of times in our communities have come from people that we love, who are only telling us the understanding and definition that they got from someone whom they love. And a lot of times we think that we're holding on to that definition. What we're really doing is holding on to that love, hence why we don't want to give it up. But I'll tell you something else. Having somewhat of a comfort mindset, you're more likely to be a child who's at the Chuck E. Cheese, refusing to let go, even though an adult is trying to pull you outside to grow up, but you don't want to grow up because you want to remain a Toys R Us kid. Now, over my historic time, I have come to the conclusion that there are certain people who just want to remain where they want to remain. But me, I'm thinking about something when it comes to growth, that masculinity does not have to be solely attached to manhood in order for manhood to exist. I repeat that. Masculinity does not have to be solely attached to manhood in order for manhood to exist. Manhood can be feminine. Manhood can be masculine. Or manhood can be more of a broader scale that we don't necessarily have the definition or understanding for right now at this moment. That's another thing about having a growth mindset, is that you have to be patient and you have to bear sometimes with being uncomfortable until you come to that conclusion. Or you may have to go to bed understanding you may not never technically understand, but at least you experienced it. But if you got a comfort mindset and you're resistant to that, then you're likely somebody that just want to sit there and you want to pout. Now, look, I get it. As a black man, when it comes to identifying, I understand. We have been bought, sold historically, treated less than humans, shot when wearing a hoodie or a t-shirt or a suit, it doesn't matter, disregarded, displaced by the American white system. So I get it why it's so important for us to hold on to it. But we can't feel threatened when certain things are being challenged, when we're not the inventor of those words. We adapted them, especially as a black American, and being here. We don't own technically no rights to those things. We have to understand what that is. And a lot of times when young boys are coming up, we're too busy trying to teach them to be a type of man instead of allowing them to grow to understand or discover what type of man they can be and encouraging them along the way. Now, if you don't understand that, you're more likely to be someone of that type of comfort and stubborn mindset, and you're most likely later on in life to overdose off red pills.